Welcome to the Health and Wellness Marketplace. Here's your host, Laura Lewis.
Hello and welcome to the Health and Wellness Marketplace. I'm your host, Laura Lewis. We have a great show for you today, but before we get started, I want to encourage you to visit our website, thehealthandwellnessmarketplace.com. Here you can learn more about the show, our guests, and the products we feature in the marketplace. There's also a Contact Us link that you can use to give us your feedback or submit questions that you would like answered on the show. You've heard me talk on the program about foods acting as medicine. After all, as I wrote in my book, Hippocrates, the father of medicine, once said, let food be your medicine and medicine be your food. I'm sure you've also heard the saying, you are what you eat. Well, joining me today is, you could say, a food expert, a leader in the fishing and farming industry, and owner of the Seagate company, Richard Lentz. Richard, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Richard, it really is true that food can act as medicine, is it not? I mean, can actually do that?
It can act, but we can't claim it as a manufacturer. Okay. But there are so many food ingredients that are active. Look, the source of pharmaceutical products, they go down to the tropical rainforests and look for plants. You know, these aren't just chemicals that they're deriving in a laboratory. They're actually looking for natural chemicals, and then they duplicate them in their laboratory.
Sure, I know. They take what's in nature and they deduplicate and also maybe change a little bit as well.
Exactly.
Right, to make it their own.
Whereas what we do in the natural foods industry, most of us, and a lot of us anyway, is just trying to take an ingredient, not duplicate it, but grow it or extract it, and extract it from a fish, extract it from a plant, and grow more of those plants, like growing tomatoes, and not try to determine, well, I found that lycopene molecule, and that's what's really working on as an antioxidant or whatever, or as a component of the eye. And I'm going to rather than grow more tomatoes, I'm going to duplicate that lycopene right in our factory and create it chemically. That's not what we do.
I know, which I really love. And you also brought in a lot of material in for us today to review, and I truly appreciate that. You see, it's one thing if Richard and I tell you that food can have medicinal benefits, but it's a whole different ballgame when you see the medical community acknowledging this. I mean, let's start with the first study you brought in regarding coconut oil. Let's take a look here. Would you like to go ahead?
Yeah, what we're going to talk about today is natural antifungals, antimicrobials.
Okay.
Coconut oil's antimicrobial effects come from its unique composition of medium-chain fatty acids such as lauric acid, caprylic acid, and caprylic acid. Coconut oil is a natural antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, and antiprotozoal food.
Antiprotozoa, yeah, okay. And here's the next one.
In a study of the saturated fatty acid lauric acid, which comes from coconut, no fungal growth occurred in liquid cultures at concentrations above 50 microns. Journal of Pathology,
okay,
2003.
Okay, phytopathology. Really interesting, because isn't it for a long time we always thought that coconut, stay away from coconut. Stay away from coconut, it's not so great for you, but that's completely changed.
No, coconut oil, great for you to eat, to take, and actually apply on your skin. You know, the Pacific Islanders have been using this for centuries as a sun protectant. Although we started manufacturing some homeopathic topical ingredients using coconut oil for this antimicrobial purpose, but whether or not it's a protectant or actually in our case we're claiming that it's an ingredient that helps you after the problem occurs. In this case, and going back a little bit, you had caprylic acid, there's capric, there's lauric acid, and there's one other that come from coconut oil, which when they're in coconut oil, they're just kind of bonded together.
It's not stearic acid, is it? I was trying to go back in my brain cells. Okay.
Caproic acid.
Okay, all right.
And when they are put on your skin or when they're digested in your stomach, these are fatty acids that become free fatty acids because the bacteria on your skin actually break down the coconut oil and release caprylic acid.
I did not know that. Okay.
And you probably find in health food stores one of the oldest natural remedies for fungal infections is caprylic acid. Well, most of the caprylic acid comes from coconut oil. So what we're doing is we're producing coconut oil-based homeopathic ingredients that when it's actually applied to the skin, we can develop a topical antifungal or anti-athlete's foot product and we have one here, which I'll show you later in the show, which is a natural homeopathic ingredient that the FDA has approved for treatment of athlete's foot.
Very good. I love that, especially since the way, does it smell good? I mean, the coconut oil, because I believe I've tried your, you have a burn spray, and there's also another one that has that wonderful coconut. It'd be much nicer to have my son, for example, who has asthma problems, to have a spray or a topical component that's going to help be antifungal versus those horrible, wretched sprays that can really hurt his lungs.
Well, yeah, well, Seagate knows we're dealing with fussy consumers. The American public does not want to have a lousy smelling product.
And children, by the way.
And children.
The fussiest.
And like we have a diaper rash remedy, and mothers don't want their kids to smell medicinally or smell like fish, because we have a very small component of shark liver oil that's in there that's helping to feed the skin and also help to protect the skin from more rashes. So we actually put shark liver oil in all of these topicals, but you don't want to be smelling, putting it on your feet and smell fish on your feet when you're trying to get rid of athlete's foot. So that's why the coconut oil also helps as a natural, it gives a natural odor that masks the odor of the fish.
Yeah, and I will vouch for that, there's some of those that I've smelled awesome, love it. My children loved it. We've got to take a break, but when we come back, we'll talk more about antifungal components with Richard Lentz from Seagate right after this. Welcome back to the Health and Wellness Marketplace. I'm your host with Richard Lentz from Seagate, and we were just talking about coconut oil and antifungal. There are other components or other items that you actually have in your products that are antifungal. So garlic is one that's getting a lot of attention because not only because of that, but also because it has a healthy support for the heart. You have research regarding garlic, I believe. Let's take a look at that here on the screen.
Modern science is tending to confirm many of the beliefs of ancient cultures regarding efficacy of garlic. It is concluded that freshly pressed garlic inhibits the growth of many different types of fungus. This was it was an Ethiopian journal.
Okay.
And this is a component, but we don't extract this ourselves. We're using the whole garlic. Allicin, one of the active principles of freshly cut garlic, has a variety of antimicrobial activities. It is antibacterial against multi-drug resistant strains of E. coli. It is antifungal against Candida albicans. It is antiparasitic against some major human intestinal protozoans, and it is antiviral. Microbes and Infection magazine.
Well, what I was going to say was, I mean, we have talked about garlic being really great for many, many things, including heart health and blood and that type of thing. Now we're moving into the antifungal. Let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, what do you know about it that you can explain further about why it works? Or
well, fungus is, since we're also farming and fishing, fungus is an important it's like a micro protozoan, micro bug that inhabits the soils that in organic farming is very important when we're putting natural fertilizers on there. They eat and break down the fertilizer into their basic ingredients, producing nitrogen, phosphates, potash. But when we get the fungi, which are these plant-like little monsters that inhabit our skin, that are in our sinuses, that get into our lungs and get established and create an infection, they start breaking down the parts of our own body as if they were eating, because all they know is they're going to eat and they're going to multiply, and you can get a full-fledged fungal infection. Have you ever had athlete's foot and you've gone to a pharmacy and you've put on topical ingredients that seem to take care of the symptoms, but a month or two later they keep popping back? Right,
it's internal.
Yeah, I had a skin fungus, athlete's foot, that I picked up 20-something years ago walking through, by accident, the kitchen of a hotel, and it got on this one toe and it spread to its neighboring toe, and I can get rid of that fungal infection for a month or two and then it comes right back. And after 20 years I was getting tired of this, so I was looking for what would actually kill it rather than just relieving the symptoms. So this is how we ended up with the homeopathic topicals.
Well, the Journal of the American Medical Association says that fungus actually causes disease, correct?
Yeah, in some cases, doctors are mistakenly seeing what they believe is cancer, which is actually fungal infections. Or in reverse, fungal infections might look like cancer, and fungus can actually cause cancer too.
Yes.
There's a lot of relation. Very little, doctors are taught viruses, they're taught bacteria. There's very little education about fungus and fungal disorders. The beauty of these things like garlic and coconut oil and caprylic acid is they're not only antifungal, but they also are protecting you against a variety of these little microbes. So if you can't or your doctor can't diagnose it properly, by taking some of these supplements, it really doesn't matter which of it you have.
Sure.
Because chances are it's going to give you some protection.
Well, it's almost like because I'm very visual. I always think about these little things visually, but it's almost like having a purification system happening through your bloodstream. It's like screening out the bad things, keeping things flowing nicely, and keeping it cleaner than it normally would be, so in order to lead to optimal health.
Yeah, and we're, in the health food industry, we're not into disease, trying to cure diseases. We're not allowed to cure diseases. Homeopathics can kind of touch on that area legally, but most of these products, olive oil, coconut oil, these are supplements and they can't make any disease claims. But what we're into is protection in advance of getting the disease, because hopefully you don't get the thing in the first place. Or if you're getting a very minor case of it, like you're getting that cracked skin between the toes and you can apply this Alleviate product, chances are that's going to go away overnight and you're not going to have to deal with it for the next couple of months.
Well, that's what we talk about. It is truly, this show is all about prevention, honestly. We make people aware of certain things, but truly, when you think about it, wouldn't it be better for us to be doing something now unless it's too late? You've gone down, your health has deteriorated, when you could have maybe just simply added garlic to your program or exercised or just ate a better balanced diet. It is all the total package, and also attitude, by the way. So yes, it's extremely important, and I just truly love what you're doing. You're a farmer. You're a farmer, Richard, and you brought a picture of your farm. You want to talk about your farm?
I always like to bring pictures. This was, I think this was the first stage of the tomatoes growing before we put up the little posts to hold them up, right? And as you can see in the background, there's nothing there. There's just trees and mountains in the background, and that's, we have no other contaminants. We have no other farms nearby. We were set not just in the middle of a cattle ranch, but we actually put barbed wire fence around different sections when we decide to plant tomatoes or plant broccoli, and we'll move to the next year when we plant tomatoes, we won't plant it in the same spot. We'll just fence off another area of the ranch and let the cows go and eat some of the remaining greenery that we didn't harvest on the last time.
And you're doing that probably because the soil is more nutritious, or?
Yeah,
moving it around.
Yes, moving around. Since number one, the land is available because there's nothing being done, and we're not a big-time farming operation. We're maybe farming 5 or 10 acres at a time to grow tomatoes, and as it becomes more popular, we'll add more on. But I just like, this is our form of crop rotation, because we can grow. Well, when we're doing broccoli, we can actually keep the broccoli plant alive for over a year, maybe a year and a quarter, and just get those new shoots coming up. And then after doing that for a year, and we're not adding more fertilizer other than the fish fertilizer, we're thinking, well, what's the most natural way to refertilize the land besides adding, our own fish, is just let the cows go through there and
do their business.
Do their business, exactly.
We've got to take a break, but when we come back, we'll talk more about the carrot subject in just a moment, right after this. Welcome back with Richard Lentz from Seagate, the farmer, the fisherman, all around very interesting person. So you grow carrots on your farm.
Carrots were that was our first vegetable product almost 10 years ago.
Okay, and by the way, I had heard they were really hard to farm, but you said they're really easy to grow.
They're really easy. We plant, there's a certain steps you do. You go through it with the plow and you grind up the soil and turn it over, add the fish while we're doing that. And then we have this machine that plants the seeds one by one in these long rows, and then we put down the irrigation lines, and 3 or 4 months later out pop carrots. and you plant maybe an extra 5 or 10% for the occasional cow that gets through the fence.
Yeah.
Or there's little animals that run around there that come and sneak in, and possums and things.
Well, that's so nice. You're providing a little extra treat for the animals there. Well, you're growing carrots because of certain health benefits, I know. I mean, I know you're really into that, and I think you brought in some research on that.
Yeah, carrots are great. I mean, you've got the carotenoids, but I hadn't realized this when I first began doing carrots, that they were also antifungal.
Okay.
A carrot extract, which, if you can pronounce that.
Okay, wait, let me try. Phytoalexin 6-methoxymelane.
You did that better than I could.
Applied to Candida albicans, inhibited its cell growth and the membrane functions. Candida, by the way, is the yeasty fungal guys. The results suggest that this carrot extract exerts a toxic effect on susceptible Candida cells. And the
Journal of General Microbiology.
Okay, all right. So carrots are antifungal.
They're antifungal, and carrots are extremely sugary. So you think that eating carrots, which has a very high sugar content.
Yeah, people hear about high glycemic index. That's the big buzzword right now.
Only if you were a diabetic that had trouble controlling sugar, that would be a vegetable that I would avoid. But if you were worried about eating carrots and having fungus, growing fungus in your body, this is why you don't, because carrots themselves have chemicals. And the reason it has a chemical is because that carrot lives in the dirt. And when we're fertilizing, we're growing fungi all in the area where the carrot's environment is. And the carrot has to be protected naturally from the fungus not only attacking the nutrients in the soil, but the carrot itself.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and most vegetables that grow underground, in order to survive, are going to have some antifungal component. Otherwise, they would just disappear as they were growing. Makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. I mean, okay, we've talked about coconut. We talked about garlic and carrots as medicinal foods, and I know that one of your most popular products is your olive leaf extract. What is the research saying about olive leaf?
Of all our products that are antifungals, olive would be number one.
Okay.
And aleuropin, one of the major classes.
Oh, you said that very easily. Aleuropin?
Well, once I've been making a product for a long time,
then
I
you
get
can
a lot better at it.
Aleuropin. All right.
But when we first started making olive leaf extract in 1998, I would have asked somebody else to pronounce that word.
Aleuropin, okay.
One of the major classes of polyphenols in olives, and this is important, one of the major classes. Companies take out aleuropin and concentrate it, and this is an article from the Journal of Pharmaceutical Pharmacology.
Okay.
Is saying that there are major classes of polyphenols in olives, has been shown to inhibit or delay the rate of growth of bacteria and microfungi. Olea europa, that's the olive tree, that's actually the genus and species of the olives that we're growing, can be considered a potential source of promising antimicrobial agents for the treatment of respiratory tract infections in man.
Okay.
Most important thing that this is saying, besides that it's antifungal and antimicrobial, is there's a lot more in the olive than just aleuropin. If you go to the store, health food store, and you buy olive leaf extract, you're going to see in almost every label except for ours this big statement about aleuropin content. And they were all trying to, the few that actually process are trying to concentrate aleuropin, which is also, when you concentrate something, you're also reducing something else. Otherwise, there's this kind of balance in the plant. You're not going to get one thing to increase with the others decreasing.
Right, exactly.
And nature made it right. I mean, if you have an antifungal component to the carrot that's protecting it from fungus, and then you start Mickey Mousing around with the content of the carrot, very likely you're going to create something that has very little protection for the carrot when it's on the ground, or very little protection for us by trying to look for what's the key single ingredient, because they all work together.
Sure, isolating. Well, we have another study on olive leaf extract here.
Candida albicans, fungus, and E. coli cells, bacteria, exposed to olive leaf extract showed complete destruction. These findings suggest antimicrobial potential for olive leaves in the Mycoses magazine, 2003.
Well, I want to mention, by the way, the term antimicrobial is not just antibacterial because it's a microbe we're talking about. It's fighting all microbes, which would include fungus and protozoa and bacteria.
And viruses.
And viruses, all the critters, all of those little tiny things, living things that can be, well, there's good and there's bad microbes.
And unlike, pharmaceutical produced drugs that are specific for the shape of a cell wall of this particular bacteria, which then you hear about, oh, the bacteria mutated, so there's a change in the DNA or the cell wall. So that antibacterial product, drug product,
which is specific, right?
Specific for whatever shape, ingredient, DNA, something that was particular about the identity of that bacteria that it could go in and attack and destroy, is made harmless. Meanwhile, we have the same olive leaf tree that goes back to ancient Egypt, where they used to wrap their mummies in the leaves to help to preserve the mummies from decomposition, is still unchanged from 2,000-3,000 years ago, and is being written about in the Mycoses magazine in 2003 as being antifungal and antibacterial. And how many times have those little critters mutated over the last 1,000 years, and it has made no difference whatsoever?
Well, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Olive leaf extract, then, it's sort of like, it's not specific. It's going after those things. We've got to take a break, but we'll be right back with Richard Lentz after this.
Do you sometimes feel like your life is surrounded by germs? Seagate's all-natural remedies can help protect you and your family and relieve these irritations.
Ow!
Seagate's remedies are safe, chemical-free, have no side effects, and do not require a prescription.
Oh my goodness, enough already.
Seagate olive leaf extract for extra immune support and prevention. Ask for Seagate in your local health food store or call toll-free and learn more about all of the products coming from Seagate's organic farming and fishing operations.
Welcome back. Talking with Richard Lentz. Now, Richard, are there any other foods that have medicinal properties, since we've been talking about medicinal properties of foods in the show?
One more that we make that we have a couple of minutes to talk about because I know we're about to end. So I was given the word, hurry up.
Okay.
We've got broccoli. The antifungal activity of broccoli against Candida albicans and other pathogenic fungi was investigated. The broccoli was found to be effective in inhibiting the growth of fungus. Broccoli has a lot of properties, and this was our second product that we grew on the farm because it was antibacterial against the H. pylori bacteria, and here it's antifungal against the Candida albicans. Broccoli is just plain good for you. If you had to eat one vegetable,
it's got it all.
Yeah, George Bush doesn't like to eat it. That's why we're putting it in a capsule. I haven't figured out where he lives because I was going to send it to him. But and I also was a fussy eater, but more important, you don't have a lot of times during the week when you're going to sit down and steam broccoli and butter it. A lot of people love broccoli.
I love it.
But this is just another way of getting broccoli on a daily basis. So, just as a review, these are the items that we are making that are antifungal or topically antifungal.
Yeah, by the way, I wrote an entire chapter about broccoli. That's how much I love it, so in my book.
Well, you need to really talk about that on these shows. You're very, I know you don't like to be self-promoting, but this is important that people see that you're a published author.
Oh, thank you, Richard. I really appreciate that. Nowhere as brilliant as the farmer fisherman sitting before me, but thank you so very much. Now, before we run out of time, you've got all those, you've got your line here. What do we have in these bottles?
Okay, these are natural, antifungal types of supplements, and one is a homeopathic. This is the olive oil capsules, and this is olive oil. This is carrot powder. This is.
I think the carrot powder is so pretty. Okay.
Yeah. It might not show up on TV, but it's a bright orange.
It's very pretty.
Olive leaf extract, which is also olive leaf extract. That's the raw material there for the olive leaf extract, and then we have our carrot with the carrot. With garlic combined. We combine it because it's it's such a strong smelling ingredient that we couldn't do it any other way. It would blow people away. And finally, we have the topical antifungal, which is Alleviate, which is good for athlete's foot or any other topical fungal disorders that you might have.
Okay. Is that the same thing as the thing in the box way over there?
Yeah, these are combined. And they have olive oil and coconut oil as the inactive ingredients, which are actually the antifungals.
We have run out of time. This show went by really fast, didn't it?
Yeah, this was fun.
I loved it.
I might even come back.
That would be a good thing. Thank you so much, Richard. That's all the time we have today on the show. But if you'd like to know more about Seagate and all their amazing products they offer you, you can call 888-505-GATE or 4283 or visit their website at seagateproducts.com. Richard, again, thank you so much for being here. And thanks to all of you for being and visiting the market as well. We're open again tomorrow at the same time, same place. So be sure to tune in and don't forget to tell your friends about us. I'm Laura Lewis. See you next time on the Health and Wellness Marketplace. Have a great day.